Hello, everybody. Hey, welcome into the OnlyBets Sports Betting Podcast alongside your co-host SternBets. I am Prince of Picks. Thanks for stopping in. We appreciate you tuning in here to the podcast. I got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to have a few picks from around the sports betting landscape. So looking forward to getting into that with everyone. It's going to be a little bit of a lighter landscape today. We do have a lot of games going on in the soccer world where we got Europa League taking place. So we got a special podcast for that if you guys want to tune into that one. After this one here, that one is available over on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, where we did cover all 18 matches of the Europa League. But for today, we're going to be covering some college basketball, some NFL. We got a little bit of NBA as well. And pretty soon here, we're going to be having our guest speaker, Brad Betts. He'll be hopping on here in a little bit. And he'll give us some of his soccer plays and any additional maybe looks or angles or something that we might have missed for us to look at. So looking forward to that. Before we get into the picks here and get going with the show, let's take care of some official business real quick. If you guys can do us a solid, please give us a subscribe, rate, and review over on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That helps with the growth of this channel, helps with the algorithm getting this podcast available to more listeners. So really appreciate all the support you guys have been giving us here, and we'll continue to give our best in terms of giving you guys picks every day. So with that being said, let me go ahead and pass it over to my co-host, Mr. SternBets, Mr. Mose. What up, dude?
Hey, doing well. Nice to see you again in less than 12 hours. It's been quite
Yeah,
12 hours,
yeah.
so I feel showered, freshly shaved, and ready to tackle the day.
Yes, we're doing the gauntlet. We're doing the Only Bets gauntlet right now. So we're it's a marathon. We coming off of less than 12 hours ago. Recorded a lengthy podcast, but it's all right. We're gonna do this every day, so as much as we can anyway. So I'm excited to be back. By the way, shout out to Drew for holding down over the last 2 days. Appreciate his support and his contributions a lot. I was on the road, so I missed a lot of the sports action, but I definitely had some wagers and was paying attention to it as much as I could. So but happy to be back into it today. And yeah, like I said, we got a little bit of a lighter landscape, but let me pass it over to you, Stern. And you got anything that you want to get us started with today?
Yeah, let's just recap. Yesterday, I went 1-1. The Knicks did pull off the victory over the Raptors, despite trailing for 3 quarters in there. They took over in the fourth quarter and just did not give up. But went 1-1 with the Blue Jackets, absolutely dominating. I think they scored 5 goals on their own yesterday. Whatever it was, they took the win by a nice little margin there. And I believe Drew, I put you on. I'm going to bring you on just to speak on how your day was real quickly. How was your day yesterday, man?
It was an amazing day. Of course, I went 2-0. Houston came in clutch at the end. They almost decided to blow it, but they got -7.5. And the Magic Heat game destroyed the over by a lot, kind of like what I said. I'm kind of mad that I didn't bet the Blue Jackets game because, Stern, I predicted the score. I said 5-3. And the Rangers game, I said probably like 5-2. But you know what? I notice when I don't bet hockey, it hits. So, but I also hit a lot of other college basketball bets. I wasn't able to necessarily post because I'll do live betting and lines change right away. So that's something that people just have to like look out for. And the 9 p.m. games, I decided to do Santa Clara, minus like live -9.5 because I had a boost, and then I did San Diego State live -9.5, and then I did UCLA -4 because I was like, Oregon's terrible. So those three hit right away. So yeah.
Nice. Yes, yes. Yeah, and we'll get back into college basketball. I just wanted I want to start introducing how we did the day before, right when we get into the show, before heading into the next
Oh
stage.
no, I was saying what I did yesterday, like
Yeah, yeah,
live
yeah.
was. Yeah.
No, just explain to the audience what the angle is here, and in UCL I went 2-3, which wasn't as great, but I'm excited to attack Europa today, later today. Please go, yeah, like Prince of Peck said, let's definitely check out that special episode produced last night. I think we have some really good, solid looks there. Anyway, Prince of Picks, why don't you bring us into the world of sports? What are we tackling today first?
Yeah, so real quick, just to recap yesterday. Again, I didn't give any picks here on the show. Obviously, I was out the last couple days, but we did go. We had somewhat of a mediocre day in Champions League. We were a little under 500. We went 7-10, but we did hit some plus money plays. So overall, I think we were probably more so. It kind of made up for some of the losses there. And I know some really prominent cappers who are much more national than myself right now, who did a lot worse. So considering, I mean, I think everyone kind of struggled a little bit. That's the thing with Champions League and all these tournament and cup games. It's just you have very limited head-to-head matchups. You have very limited familiarity with these teams that are playing each other. So a lot of times it's weird things happen, and especially when you're talking about desperate teams and desperate situations on a final match day, funky things happen, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. We're hoping that things can just become a little more stable today, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, we're only playing quarter units on these, so you got to make sure you bet responsibly when you're wagering on all these matches taking place today. You got any thoughts on that much before I continue?
Well, yeah, I don't want to discount what you did in the NBA last night. Granted, it
Like,
wasn't on our podcast, but I think you did fairly
yeah.
well overall.
Yeah, well, that was my second point I was about to get to. So, to make up for that, yes, we did awesome in the NBA over on the VIP channel. We had 5 out of 7 plays over there, so we made up some ground there. We had Cavs -2.5. We had Hawks +6.5. We had Hornets on the money line. We had Knicks Raptors under 223.5, and we also had Wolves Mavs under 231.5. So those 5 cashed out for us. So definitely made up for maybe some of the losses that we might have had in the Champions League. But overall, decent day. Looking forward to today again. It's going to be mostly Europa League heavy for me. I got a couple plays in the NBA here for the show. The rest of my plays, if you guys are interested in more plays, you guys can follow me over on X. That's at PrinceOfPicks10. I have a pinned post on my profile where you can find information on how to join the VIP channel, where I will be posting all of my NBA plays there. But just got a couple here for the show today. So, did you have anything else for us, Stern, before I get into it?
Yeah. I'm assuming we're going to jump into the hardwood first, but I did want to say that it was a very strange game. Even though the Cavs took care of the Lakers. The Cavs did take care of the Lakers, and LeBron James was held to just 11 points, which was the first time in 13 trips back to Cleveland that he failed to reach the 20-point mark, which I thought was very interesting. And I'm just wondering if this is a kind of a barometer for what's going to happen the coming last little bit of his career, or
Well,
is this just like a little blip?
they say Father Time is undefeated, right? So I think that LeBron is finally starting to be on the other side of that hurdle here. We wondered when it was going to happen because he's been so excellent in terms of his production for so long. We thought, is this guy going to play till 50, right? I mean, some people were talking about that. I think that's no longer a conversation. I think he's finally hitting that grandfather clock, if you will. And his production, I would expect to continue to go on the downside here. Obviously, is this going to be his last year? There's a lot of discussion about that. He hasn't come out and said anything yet. A lot of people's inclination is that he'll want to make an announcement because if one thing LeBron loves more than anything is LeBron loves attention, and so if he can get a fair world tour, I think a lot of people are inclined to think that LeBron would go for that. So we'll see what happens. But in any case, no, I mean he's no longer the second best player in my opinion. On nights he can be, but not on a consistent basis. So to me right now, this is Luka's team, and I'm not sure really who the solid number 2 is. At times it could be Austin Reeves. I don't believe in DeAndre Ayton. I've been very vocal about that many times. And apart from that, I really don't know what you have with the Lakers. And so, just to a bigger point, I know we're talking about LeBron, but just in terms of the Lakers in general, I'm out on them. I just don't think they're very good. I think you're going to see them downslide here as their schedule kind of gets towards after the All Star break and we get towards the end here of the season. I just think I don't really know what you're going to get from them on a consistent basis. So I'm out on the Lakers. I'm out on LeBron, and we'll see what happens at the trade deadline. Maybe something can get shaken up here. And they're able to bring in another superstar talent. Not sure who, not sure how. I don't really know who people will want from their roster apart from Austin Reeves. But the crazier things have happened. So I mean, they got Luka for Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis has played maybe 5 games for the Mavericks. So I say that tongue in cheek. I'm sure it's been a little bit more, but my point is, you can get some crazy trades, but it's going to take that for the Lakers to be competitive, in my opinion. So, you got anything else for me before I continue on with my plays?
Yeah, you just reminded me of one big story that on the rumor mill in the NBA, which is Giannis potentially going to the Knicks. Which I mean, how would you say no to that?
You can't, right? I mean, anytime you have a potential to get Giannis, I think you have to do it. I mean, he's still in the prime of his career. He's been through a lot, right? But I would say his productivity is still at an elite level, is at an MVP level. So I think it's just going to take the right team, the right fit for him, and really, for his sake, you don't want to go to a team that has to uproot their whole team to get him, because then you're just walking into the same situation that he's in Milwaukee. So if anyone's going to be able to get him, they have to be able to keep their core and not blow it up. In my opinion, so there's a handful of teams that are interested in him. Of course, I mean, obviously all 30 teams would be interested in Giannis, right? But reportedly, there's like 5 or 6 teams that have made like formal bids for Giannis. Have been in discussions with the front office over in Milwaukee, so we'll see what happens. I fully expect him to be traded. And Milwaukee is just not a good team. I think Giannis sees that. I think the organization sees that. Without him, Milwaukee might be one of the worst rosters in the league. So I don't really see much promise, much hope there for the Milwaukee Bucks. And I think you might as well trade him while you can, get as much value as you can, maximize him out, and try to start going for a full rebuild if you're the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, I think that's the key point there. I think you need to trade Giannis to in order to get the parlay pieces that you need in order to get a rebuild going. But anyway, I'll take up enough of your time here for just shooting it. Bring us into the landscape for the NBA today.
Yeah, so again, only a couple plays for me here for the show. But first up, we're going to go with an 8 p.m. Eastern tip tonight, where we do have the Miami Heat coming to Chicago here, taking on the Bulls. Injury report, we don't have that one yet. It has not been submitted at the time of this podcast, so we're not sure who's going to be in and out officially. But what I do expect here is a lot of points. We're looking at both teams here. They're both top 10 in pace of play. They're also both both top 10 in scoring, and they're also both bottom 10 in points allowed. So you have everything lining up here for a shootout. I can't see anything less than going over the total here. I like over 237.5 at minus 115. I got that before the show started. I checked about 5 minutes before we went live here. That has since gone up to 238.5. I think it might even climb some more. So, but I would still play it. I just think there's everything here to suggest that this is going to be an absolute shootout.
Nice, good look there. Sorry, I kept my hand on the mute button, but I do have a lean on the Heat here. I do think that they score. I think a team total is also in play, but I think the over is a really solid look, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And then next up for me is going to be another 8 p.m. Eastern tip. Where we have the Houston Rockets going to be heading to Atlanta, taking on the Hawks here. Both of these teams are coming off a back-to-back. Houston is going to be making a travel from Boston back to Atlanta. And then Atlanta, forgive me. Atlanta is taking a trip back from Boston to Atlanta. Well, Houston will be traveling from Houston again to Atlanta. So both teams are going to be traveling here. Both teams on a back-to-back. So I don't expect that to be too much of an impact here either way, or an advantage, I should say. But what I do expect here is Houston to be able to score the basketball. Although Atlanta comes into this one 70% ATS versus the Western Conference, so there is a good chance that Atlanta might cover this spread. What I'm looking at more importantly is on the rebounds and on the glass here. Houston comes into this one ranked number 1 in offensive rebounds. Meanwhile, Atlanta on the other side, they are bottom half in defensive rebounds. So I think the difference in this game is going to be on the glass. I think Houston's going to crush them on the boards. I think that's going to create a lot of second chance, third chance opportunities offensively for the Houston Rockets. And so for that reason here, I think Houston will get over their team total here. We got that set at 113.5. So I'm going to take Houston team total over 113.5 here at minus 110.
Nice, really good look there, and I'm excited to watch this one. I think this is going to be a really fun matchup. Atlanta has been incredible lately, and watching them is a joy. And Houston can always play to the competition, so I am excited to see this one. I think this one's a real live banger. Sorry, had to get that word in there today.
Good job. Yes, it's a must. A daily banger is a must. I think it's gonna be an exciting game. I think it's gonna be one of the more underrated games. Atlanta's a sneaky team. Atlanta's one of those teams that they're a little bit inconsistent sometimes, but I really like their talent, and I think on any given night they can beat any given team. So so yeah, and plus 70% ATS. I mean that's a hell of a stat. So we'll see, but yeah, I like Rockets to score here. That's really gonna do it for me. I'll pass it over to you, Stern. What else you got for us?
Yeah, I didn't really like anything in the NBA. I have been on quite a streak that was broken last night when the Knicks beat the Raptors. I really am excited to watch the Pistons Suns game. I don't have a play in it, but it's going to be an incredible game. I think this is probably the marquee matchup tonight. Detroit is just playing out of their mind, and honestly, the Suns have been playing really well, but they haven't faced competition like Detroit, at least not recently. So this is going to be a really good one to watch over for. And I do lean over, but decided to lean to lay off altogether. This is actually kind of like a switch from yesterday, where we had only 3 NHL games and a lot of NBA games. Here we have some NBA games and a ton of NHL games, where we are getting a rematch back-to-back nights for the Islanders versus the Rangers. That's going to be really fun. I think Drew said it earlier. We had leans on the show for the Islanders and on the over, both of which cashed. And Squishy, who couldn't be here today, gives his best bet of the day, which is the Islanders money line. I think that's at like minus 130 or something like that. Let me double check real quick. But we have good matchups on the ice. I personally went in a different direction here. Let me pull it up. I just lost my notes. I'm so sorry. We did hit the Blue Jackets yesterday, which was a really nice play. Today we're going with the Minnesota Wild on the 60-minute money line at minus 125 over on DK. I think this is a really good look. They have the better goalkeeper, and they are better at home. I think that they have a really good chance of winning this one by more than one goal, and I certainly think that they're going to get it done within the regulation time. There are many plays. I highly recommend looking at Squishy on Twitter. He's going to post some more probably later today. But yeah, that's it. That's all I have. That's my one best bet for the day. Anything from you, Prince, or we're going to move on to college basketball with our main man, Drew?
Nah, let's move on to the hardwood in the college ranks here. Drew, what do you got for us, man?
So I actually do have an NBA and NHL pick if you guys don't mind. The NHL I won't bet because then we'll lose.
What's your
But
Yeah,
lean
absolutely. Yeah,
first?
hit us with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
go for
yeah,
it.
so the NBA bet I like. I think it coincides with the Rockets. I think they score, but personally, I like the under 23, 223.5 in that game because the Hawks continue to rely on Jalen Johnson to produce their offense, and Jalen Johnson's going to go up against probably one of the best two-way defenders out there, and Amon Thompson is going to be very difficult for him. I think 223.5 is a lot to ask for this game with two teams coming, I believe, off. Back to back, and there's going to be a half court battle. And I can see the Rockets winning this like 115-95 or something like that. I don't know if you guys think about that.
Yeah, I think that's a great look actually. Ahmed Thompson is by far one of the top defenders in the league. So they and Jalen Johnson is trying to Atlanta's asking him to fill that void left by Trey Young, right? In terms of the offensive output. And I'm not sure if he's quite at the level offensively that Trey Young is. Trey Young's deficiencies are on the defensive side, right? And that's where it was glaring in the playoffs when teams would isolate him on the defensive side and attack him, and that's where Atlanta kind of faltered towards the end here in terms of their playoff failures and even sometimes in the regular season. So Jalen Johnson definitely more so a prominent player defensively, but they are asking him to do an awful lot on the offensive side. I think guys like Corey Kispert, CJ McCollum, they're going to have to step it up here a little bit to kind of give him some assistance. But yeah, I think you make a great point there. I think Jalen Johnson could be in a little bit of Amen Thompson hell tonight, if you will. I think Amen Thompson has a real chance to lock him up.
They could slow down the pace too. Also, because the Rockets play at a slow pace, and Amon Thompson lock him could slow the pace, and I can honestly see the Hawks not even reaching 100 today because of that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yep, yeah. Houston's got an elite defensive side as well. So, Ime Udoka's got those guys playing really hard on the defensive side. So,
and
yeah,
Usually.
he's going to light a fire in them, especially since they lost to the Spurs with the game they shouldn't have lost.
yeah, 100%. Stern, did you have something to say, sir?
No, I just kind of made a half joke, which was usually elite. They have an incredible defense, but sometimes they are a little bit inconsistent, as we saw last week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
good point. Yeah, go ahead. What
I
else
would
you got
say
for us? Yeah.
Oh, I would say for my hockey bet that I like, I would recommend this again, guys. Right now it's over 5.5 from -135 for the Islanders Rangers game. I pulled up the stat this morning and it's pretty absurd. I did not know about it. So in the over in Rangers games lately in the last 10, it's 8-1-1, allowing 3 or more goals in 11 consecutive outings. The winning team has scored 4 or more goals in 6 of the past 7 meetings in this rivalry, and over 6-4 in the past 10 meetings. So, New York Rangers games, man, they usually are high scoring, especially with Spencer Martin, Jonathan Quick still struggling like really badly with Igor out. I just think 5.5 -135 is like very low and it's great value. I could be wrong, but you can get over 6.5 or plus money. But I think this game was gonna be high scoring.
I think that's a good look as well. I would personally, I think, stick with an Islanders team total just because our man Squishy is on their money line. But I definitely do like goals again, like we saw it last night. Why wouldn't it come through again? They just saw each other. They're a little bit more tired. They have more to play for, right? In this nice rivalry, I think they want to bounce back against losing. They don't want to lose two in a row. So it's a good look, man. And one
And
other.
usually tired legs make more goals in hockey, I've learned.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta be on your toes, or I guess your skates defensively to really be on top of it. One last piece in the NHL before we move on to college basketball, and then on to Brad Betts with our soccer best bets of the day. Patrick Kane is in a historic pursuit tonight. Red Wings, which is a popular money line play. Patrick Kane is just 1 point away from breaking the all-time record for points by a U.S.-born player. So I'm pretty sure Squishy's on this play. I'll have to double check, but I think for him to score 1 point is -115 juice is a solid look there. And also, just by the way, Drew, the Islanders Rangers projection for here is over 6 points, so 6 goals. So the over is definitely a look there. But why don't you bring us real quick into your best bets for the college basketball world?
Yeah, so it's not as a big slate. It's a bunch of mid majors that are going on. There was one mid major I was actually like interested in. It was Memphis FEU, but I saw no value personally on that game. Memphis is not a great team, but they're great at home. FAU is a really good road team, so that's more of a game to watch. But I do think 151.5 is too low. So if you are watching that game, is too high. I mean, if you are watching that game, you notice slow pace start. I would bet the under. But I would say for the Power Five conferences, instead of one straight, I actually have a 3 lay to equal. I think it's like +100 or -105. So this lay would be we have Washington at Illinois. Illinois has been on fire lately. Illinois came off with one of the most historical performances by a freshman ever seen. Keaton Wagler against Purdue at Purdue. He went 9 of 11 from three. While everyone else wasn't shooting great necessarily, they only won by 6. But I personally don't think Washington is a great team. Like they try to compete, but they really can't get to. They can't finish. Honestly can't finish games, and Illinois always starts off hot. So the first part of the lay I have is Illinois halftime full time. I love halftime full time because that means they usually reduce the odds because they have to win the first half and then they have to just win the game the rest of the way. The bad thing about that is if they lose a half, you're done. But I think they will. It's at -280 for that. The next game is Colorado versus Iowa State. The spread on this is 17.5. To me, that's way too high of a spread to risk. I think Iowa State should win by 20 to 30, but I'd rather add halftime, full time of -700 to that. And then right now you're at like -170. And then lastly, The last game I'm going to add to it is Northwestern versus Penn State. Penn State is just absolutely terrible. I know they backdoor covered against Ohio State that one game, and they screwed us when Ohio State was up 18. But I just don't believe in this Penn State team. And yes, Northwestern is 1-8 in the Big Ten, but they've beaten some pretty good teams, in my personal opinion, and come close to good teams as well. They beat USC. I was impressed about, but when they lose, it's to top teams. It's only by like 10 or stuff. And when Penn State faces non-ranked teams, they lose by 20 plus. So I would add Northwestern money line to that. So to recap, it's Northwestern money line, Illinois halftime full time, and Iowa State halftime full time.
Nice. That's a great look right there. And by the way, on that Colorado Iowa State game, I do like the under there. The public is 63% on the over, while the sharp money is 68% on the under, which usually means that the under is definitely the play. But Iowa State should take care of business. Any last thoughts before we move on to the world of soccer, the Europa League, I'm assuming, or any other international leagues that are going on?
Yeah, I have one last thought. I agree with you. If my model says that the under, I believe it should be 149, so that's 4.5 points of value there. But yeah, overall, just a slow day of mid majors. But of course, tomorrow we have some big games. I did research, by the way, Stern, on the Michigan State game. It shows that the spread is right where it is, and it should be. So may not touch that game. I may look at the over under though.
Oh, thank you so much for looking into that. Yeah, I didn't really find an edge either. I am going to look though. I'm going to try to play something, even if it's just $5 for my own enjoyment.
Yeah, so you can enjoy the game. Yeah, I agree.
Not that you need a bet to enjoy the game. That is not what we're saying at all, but it definitely makes it a little bit more interesting. But anyway, thank you so much, Drew. I appreciate it. Stick around, give us your best bets after, and definitely send me that recap so that we can get it out to everyone. And let's bring in Brad Betts. I'm going to invite you here to speak. I'm very excited to hear what you have to say. Prince and I did our podcast last night for Europa League, and we actually, not that we had a showdown, but we are on opposite sides of this Freiburg Lille game. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts first before we move on.
Did you say my thoughts? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Oh yeah, sorry. I know it cuts you in and out when you're joining to speak on Spaces. Yeah, Freiburg versus Lille. Do you have any thoughts on that? Prince and I are on opposite ends of this one, even though we were in lockstep for the other 15 plays.
I'm pretty much on the fence on that. I actually don't have an opinion solely because neither team need anything other than Lille needing a tie. So with Freiburg up there at the top, like nothing can be really affected from their positioning in order for like that first 8 bye phase of the next round. All the rest below them are the people who matter. So where you look at Lille at 9 points above that cutoff zone, well, that cutoff zone is sitting around 7 to 6 points. And there's really only going to be 1 or 2 matches that could be affecting Lille's spot from, they can't get into the top and they're just trying to survive the bottom. So for Lille, I believe there's a good chance of a tie. This could definitely be a tie type of match or a low scoring barn burner, or they could just come out here and score because Freiburg's defense is pretty shite. But realistically, neither team need anything. And when you looked at the UCL yesterday, the teams who didn't need anything didn't really put in performances. So for me personally, what I'm after and seeking now, after having seen the UCL to kind of guide me, is teams who are kind of sitting on that fringe line of either making it into that knockout stage or through the bye of the knockout stage, which is the top 8, or just getting into the whole thing, period. And so there's really only a couple teams that kind of fit that category for me today, and I can just kind of talk through that if you want me to.
Oh yes, please. I truly enjoy listening to your soccer takes and being able to apply that knowledge so that I can make some money live, if not pregame.
Yeah. I've been kind of spending this morning trying to figure it out a little bit. post daycare. Had to drop the child off because they had late daycare, so it kind of messes everything up. But it's neither here
Oh,
nor
can I
there.
tell you a
So
real quick story on that, real quick?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
was dropping my kids off yesterday, also late daycare because of the snowstorm here in Philly, and
Yep.
I parked on the side of the street so that I wouldn't be blocking, and I got stuck in a hole like inside the snow, and I couldn't get out. It took me an hour and 15 minutes to dig myself out with the little tiny scraper that you have for the windshield, and I only got out because a really nice lady was passing, gave me some salt, and then I was able to put it underneath my tires, and it was able to get enough traction to get me out of that spot. But I was stuck for an hour, almost an hour and a half, trying to drop my kid
Jeez.
off just for a daycare. I'm sorry, that was a tangent. Continue.
Brutal. Well, I understand it now that I'm in daycare world. So, but yeah. So there's only really a couple teams. So you look at matches in which teams near that cut line, and I say cut line of the very bottom because that's the most important line, which is, am I even gonna freaking make the next stage, or are they gonna send my ass home? So you got young boys here, specifically young boys who are taking on Stuttgart. So you got to know who they're playing against. Does it matter? Because their quality of their opponent is substantially better than them. Stuttgart being from the Bundesliga, one of the top sides in the Bundesliga. Young boys, Swiss side, who's actually really down, plays a nice open brand of football. Actually, both sides do. Stuttgart is 3 points, or 2 points technically, from that 8th spot. And there's a whole bunch of teams that are in and around them and above them that kind of are going to have matches in which they could be tough, right? Because we don't really know for certain what result Porto, Genk, Crvena Zvezda, Red Star Belgrade, aka PAOK from Greece, all those teams, and you have in the same point slot Celta Vigo right below them, Bologna right below them. So all of those teams, every single one of those, if they're winning, they go up 3 points, right? And so if you're winning, you go up 3 points. And then goal differential starts to matter. You need to secure your spot. So you look at Betis right there around that comfort line with Porto. They're just going to want to, for sure, as long as Porto is winning. If not, they don't even care. It's literally a game that comes from the sideline in which you saw yesterday negatively affect Marseille. They were down 3-0. They got told late in the match that they were in a qualification zone. You saw one of their players go to take a throw in and was stopped by one of the other players because he got relayed from their bench saying that they were in a qualification zone, which they were not actually in. So they started slow playing it before they realized that they weren't in the right spot. And then they started pressing again. So I'm telling you that these type of situations are relayed immediately, and it changes how teams are played. And you don't want to be in one of those back and forth matches. I kind of caught myself in that with PSV and Bayern yesterday. So I'm going to say I made a mistake yesterday, I believe. And now I hope to learn from said mistake. And I'm kind of potentially looking after this Stuttgart Young Boys match, because if Young Boys lose, they're going to get jumped by, most likely, so you got Celtic, Ludogorets, who has a very friendly matchup at home. You have Fire, who's within 3 points. So if Fire wins away from home against Real Betis, which doesn't look that likely because Real Betis is sitting there on that cutoff line, you're probably going to get a Betis win, unless, because Fire's going to absolutely have to push at some level. Same thing with Basel and Salzburg. Everything matters when a team wins or is losing. If these teams are winning and losing, it changes the entire outcome. So it's hard to really say for certain, like, hey, you need to do this, because everything really changes. So you've got to try your best to figure out who cannot have a different type of outcome, who must continue on in said path in order to achieve something. There's really only a few teams, right? Young Boys, Ludogorets, you've got Porto, Betis. You're going to have Genk searching for it, depending on the results above them, PAOK, and then if that all depends on if Ferencvaros, if they are losing, then they can get jumped all the way as far as Crna Zvezda if they're winning. So it's so hard, so hard to give you a real accurate description of what's going to happen. And I don't even know what my best bet is yet. So having said all of that information, I'm looking at this Stuttgart Young Boys match. If the lineup looks good, I may, look at a really high over, because I think that Stuttgart might decide to come out here and pummel, given that they're just close enough to where they think they might have a shot.
I mean, hey, Prince of Picks and I both agree with that take, and I think that was one of the first games that we had discussed. Prince of Picks took Stuttgart to score in both halves at -120, which I thought was also a sharp look. And I went with a team total over 1.5 parlay with the Celtics and Stuttgart. Each of them scored 2+ goals. I cashed my bet at around -112. So we're definitely on Stuttgart to score, and I would definitely sprinkle a little bit more if you were on it as well. And it sounds like you're at least leaning that direction.
I really am leaning that direction. I got burned on Ludogorets last weekend, just coming up short, but they're now within the touching distance. And it's really, though, like you think about it and you say, well, they got to win by a whole bunch of points. Well, that's just not true, because they're 2 points behind Young Boys. So if Young Boys are losing, Ludogorets take that 3 points. They jump them by a full point, no matter what the goal differential is. So Ludogorets just has to win, assuming Young Boys lose. But if Young Boys are winning, then Ludogorets have no shot as long as Celtic are winning. Braun, who I think Braun away from home is a really interesting one, playing Sturm Graz. There's another narrative there, right? Braun needs some type of result, but that result could theoretically be just 1 point because they have a -1 goal differential. But if they only have 1 point, right, Ludogorets can win and jump them if they're winning by 3, which is why I think Ludogorets has a potential to push. But Ludogorets has no hope if Braun comes out and is winning. Same thing with Lille. If Lille drops points altogether, Fire, Ludogorets, all these teams below them can jump. So Lille, it could be just real complacent football, because they could still get into that very, very last spot. So to answer your first question, Lille is a total stay away.
Yeah, I hear that. I kind of went with a lower scoring game, and coming from American football, when you have a lower scoring game, you usually just take the underdog with the points, which is why I have Freiburg on double chance, not to drive it in because I know Prince of Picks likes Lille to win, which, to be fair, you gotta get your analysis and come into different conclusions. I just wanted to ask you, if it's a quick answer, can you just explain to us? I forgot to ask Prince of Picks yesterday in our Europa League show, and I forgot to ask in our Champions League show. What does goal differential really matter when you are playing a win, tie, loss type of format where you get points based on, you get 3 points if you win, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get 1 point if you draw, and nothing if you lose, right?
Yep.
What does goal differential have to do with it, and how can it affect some of these matches?
So that's exactly what I was explaining to you with the Young Boys, Celtic, Braun, Ludogorets, Feyenoord, Basel, Salzburg. All of those teams have potential. So if, like, let's say Lille, at 9 points, they are 2 points above the cutoff line. Celtic is sitting with 8 points, the very last spot. So it's just 1 point separates them from the last qualifying spot, which means if they tie, they move up to 10 points, right? No matter what, you can only get 1 point for a tie. If you win, you get 3 points. And then if you win by a whole bunch of goals, you just get it added to what is the differential between how much you've scored and how much you've conceded. And so if you tie on this point total at the very, very end, on the very last day, goal differential will be your first separator on whether you could be eliminated or not, right? So that's kind of what your narrative and play is here, knowing that if Betis win by 1 goal today and Porto win by 2 goals today, they're mathematically equal, totally equal, because they have the exact same goal differential, which means it goes down to the third whatever phase that is to decide if they are the last two. But that all depends on if Ferencvaros shows up, right? If they only tie, both of those teams jump. So Ferencvaros ties, Roma, they have to, if they tie, they can get jumped as well for that 8 spot. So, I mean, I could go on for hours because every single point will change every single team up to the 4th spot, Midtjylland, all the way down to sorry, I got a phone call. GOA at the 6-point mark. So that's 30 all the way up to 4. 26 teams.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm going to be very excited to watch today, even if it is a little chaotic with 18 games all going off at the same time. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the point of that has got to be for the teams to try and not scoreboard watch, right? They want the teams to try. They want as much action for the fans as possible, right?
Yeah, because, the last day, if you get a later kickoff, sometimes it can be advantageous for you, and that's an unfair situation. So giving everything being equal on the very last day, it's happening live. Everybody kicks off at the same time. They kick off from halftime at the same time, or they at least try to. So that way, everybody's equal. Everybody gets an equal level footing. Nobody has the upper hand on anybody, and real time action happens, and I think that's the best because it changes 26. It'll change every single match almost.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Prince of Picks, if you want to come in here and start speaking some of your picks, if you want to pick out a few, and I would love to discuss it with all three of us kind of on a soccer binge right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I won't recap any of my plays that we went over all that last night. So, you guys can check out the podcast for that. But just overall, in terms of like today and just how intense it is. Again, we were talking about it before, Stern, and I know I've mentioned this a couple times, but I think it was a good point that you brought up. What is the difference between this format compared to the old format? And with the old format, you didn't get these type of match days, right? There was a lot of like, things were already decided. You only had 4 teams in a group, so there really wasn't that much, anticipation, I would say, right? Things were usually pretty much settled by the final match day. So a lot of times you had teams just kind of knowing what to expect, and the game would usually play out that way. Whereas now, I mean, we just talked about it. You have a total of 28 teams that have something to play for today. 8 of them have already been decided. 6 of them are eliminated. 2 of them are safely in the top 8. So the other 28 teams here, in one way or another, are going to be jockeying for some sort of position. So I think today is, like we talked about it before, it's just very fluid, extremely fluid. Things are going to be constantly changing. And there's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching. I know maybe they don't want that to happen, but it's going to happen because you're going to have these managers on their iPads on the sidelines, and they say, oh, so-and-so just scored. Now we're down on goal differential. We need to get a goal to make, to get in the top 8 or get in the top 24 and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I like I said, I can't wait. These days are awesome. I love the final match day of the Europa League and the Champions League. Just a lot of fun. I guess one question I would ask you, Brad, is what do you like? How would you approach live betting? Because I know we've talked about live betting before, and it's always a good angle. But with so much fluidity today, do you alter your approach at all in live betting, or how do you look at that?
How do I change my approach? I wouldn't say I change it necessarily, but what I'm doing is looking for those narratives, right? I'm looking for those teams who need it. Let's say last night, take a nice little case point. Last night, Barcelona's down 0-1 halftime. Barcelona knows that if they lose this game, they're going to be all the way down the table. They're not going to have a chance for the top 8. If they win this game by a margin, they have a chance to advance past some teams, blah, blah, blah. But losing is going to hurt them, which means they're going to try to score. They're going to shell out, they're not going to just sit in and pass the ball. That right there gives you an advantage that is irregular per se, right? Because it's not even just that they want to win. They want to win and score more goals. So I would look for a situation just like Barcelona last night, down 0-1 halftime, down to the table. If they win, they can jump up the table because, there's 3 points separates all these teams, going from 0 to 3 points from a loss to a win in one match immediately changes the table for everyone. So I guess you'd say, maybe that's a good question about approach. Now I'm thinking about it. I'd say maybe look more toward halftime and less so trying to drop in the first half to beat a number.
Yeah,
By the way,
totally. Yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead, sir. Yeah, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to plug in Brad Betts. How would we find those plays on you? I believe you have a dub club that you put out the live plays for all the matches, correct?
You got it. Just come over and follow me on at Brad Betts Footy on X, and there's a direct link into my Dub Club. You can also find me by searching Brad Betts Footy on Dub Club, but it is pretty easy since everybody has an X account. And if you're listening to this, you are listening to it on X. You can just click my account, click into the profile, and you can select me there. It's only $10 a month. I am not a high volume bettor, and so I always like to tell people that. Tell you guys that too. I can talk about that as well at any time. But I'm not a high volume bettor. I will not be betting 45 plays in a day. I look for the most exclusive and the best of all looks, and I try to really, really narrow it down into the best way that I think possible that fits not only what I'm feeling inside, but also what the data supports. In addition to my knowledge about the sport and managerial and players and what's affected from that standpoint.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's great information. That's a great way to approach it. Is a halftime live bets. I think waiting for the second half is absolutely good. The angle that I'm going to be taking as well. What else would I have? Oh, looking at the tiebreakers. By the way, so to your point here, as these teams should be incentivized to score more goals. When we're looking at the tiebreakers, right? In terms of where teams are standing in the table. So your first tiebreaker is your goal differential, but the second tiebreaker is how many goals your team has scored. So again, if you have a team, just as an example, let's say you have two teams sitting on, I'll just throw out a number, 14 points, right? One team is in eighth position, one team is in ninth position, right? So they're both at 14 points, but both of them have a +4 goal differential, right? As an example, the tiebreaker then would go to the team who has scored more goals. So team X, who scored 10 goals, would go ahead of team B, who scored 9 goals, right? So that's kind of how teams are incentivized to score more goals because even if you have the same goal differential, that's your second tiebreaker. And so, and then even on the road, that's your third tiebreaker. It's away goal scored. So a lot of times in the past, you would see teams when they were on the road, they would kind of set up shop in the back and kind of play a low block and kind of you look to just get a point, maybe a 0-0 or a 1-1 or something. Now, your teams are a lot more incentivized to score on the road because those road away goals end up being the third tiebreaker in the case of any ties in the table. So everything's here incentivized for more goals and for teams to really push for it. So, but yeah, I just wanted to break that down here real quick so people know just exactly what the tiebreakers are. But great stuff. Stern, did you have anything else for Brad here?
No. I really appreciate you coming on. Obviously, you are have a permanent seat among us to be able to come on anytime, talk sports, soccer, whatever you got. We're listening. I did have a fun question of the day. If you were wanting to go to the next segment, Prince of Picks, and then we can wrap it up. But yeah, passing it back to you, bud.
Yeah, no, I mean that's all I have really have for today. But let's get into some fun. What do you got for us today?
All right. Full disclosure, I did Google this. I was just like, hey, what are some fun sports podcast icebreaker questions? And what came back to me was, what is the one sport you absolutely love to watch, but would be absolutely terrible at playing? And Prince of Picks, I'm going to you first.
That's an easy one for me. Football. I love watching football. I would get crushed if I ever played
American football or
American. Oh,
European
sorry,
football?
American. Good point. American football. No, 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 no. My short ass would get destroyed out there. On
Am I
any
36 or 18? Right? Is it 2026 or
true,
Now,
is it?
right
valid.
now, right
Good
now.
point. Good point. Good point. Good call. Yeah, that
We're
definitely
all
makes a difference. Yeah.
we're all in our 30s right now.
Ooh, see that changes everything. These
Yeah.
bones.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
definitely not playing football. Those guys will absolutely decapitate my weak 36-year-old body.
Yeah, I actually played in a flag football league just a few years ago, and while it was fun, I also played in the IFL, which is a not professional. It's like probably like D3, 3.5, maybe D2 type of league internationally, and it was a lot of fun. But there was a certain point where my body was getting tired. But football, American football, is definitely my sport. The sport that I love to watch, but would be absolutely terrible at playing, would be soccer, European football. I cannot go that fast up and down the field. My stamina is not that good. Even if I can run 5 to 10, 15 miles, it's just not the same when you have to put it in quick spurts, and I'm just too heavy.
Nobody's stamina is that good. So just
Unreal.
don't beat yourself up. It's these guys are beyond world class athletes. I mean, the best of the best are running at such ridiculous rates. It blows your mind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those dudes aren't normal. Don't worry. Those guys are special elite. Yeah, world
Oh
class.
yeah,
You know
I
what I
can
mean?
relate in a way though. I
No,
used to play soccer most of my life. Just well, I'm Italian, so I have that stamina, Italian blood. So, um, but I would say sport though. Honestly, it's not football, but hockey. I cannot skate. I would not want to get hit by those guys while trying to skate with how big they are, and I don't think I would last 2 minutes in a hockey rink.
Oh, dude, I'm with you on that. I can barely get off from the wall when I'm skating and avoid the little children. That's a really good call. I mean, I might actually have to second that because I can at least be on my feet in football.
true. Good point. Yeah,
That's
I
so
can't
funny.
skate either. Yeah, I can't. So maybe hockey's a
Am I
better.
the
Yeah,
only person here who can skate? To be fair, I did live in Milwaukee, which is negative 20 degrees all winter long, and plenty of ice skating rinks or lakes around where you can go skating. But I grew up skating. I love skating. I would definitely love to play ice hockey. The part that was tricky for me playing hockey was skating backwards, which is a lot trickier.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, you could do it, but like for me, it just felt clunky, and I couldn't really keep up with some of the other people that were in my class. You know?
But even so, it's like the step up to professional in these sports. Like, even just think about like you can swim, I can swim, but how close do you think we would be in a race with Michael Phelps, right? How close do you think we'd be in a skate race with?
Heck, I would be 25% done with Michael Phelps right now, 5 years past his Olympic prime, where I'm sure he's keeping in somewhat shape, but like, gosh, I wouldn't even be close now.
Oh, Michael Phelps could not even use his arms and would beat me in by laps and laps.
Yep. Yeah, that's a similar feeling right here.
so I.
I mean, just his initial dive, you'd be halfway across the Olympic pole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Like he's not even using his arms, and I am ferociously trying.
That's so
Yeah.
funny. So
By the way, do you know what? Oh, sorry, Prince. Go on.
no, go ahead. I got another question, but go ahead. You go first, and then I'll.
Oh, the first thought that came into my mind, because I'm not by any means an alpha male, but I am like a B, all around B student, where I'm pretty good at almost everything if I could just put my effort and attention to it. The first thought that came to mind of like what sport do I kind of enjoy watching, because I enjoy watching all competition. But one sport that I'd be absolutely terrible at would be the pole vaulting. You know, like the guys in the Olympics, they like climb up that skinny little pole to like get over the bar. My gosh, that's just. I mean, like I'm not afraid of heights, but that would just end badly for me.
Yeah, dude. No, at pole vaulting. I tell you what. Okay, so here's just this. I'm gonna switch my question up. What is a sport that you enjoy watching that you wish you were good at? So I don't know. Maybe that's kind of the same question to what you asked, but for me, it's a different answer. Golf for me. Believe it or not, I actually like watching golf. I cannot. not swing a golf club for my life, but I love everything about golf. I love just the competing against yourself and just the whole it's competitiveness around it. It's just something about golf that's always been very attractive to me. But I cannot. I tried with the driver. I tried with the iron. I whiff half the time. I just have like zero hand-eye coordination when it comes to swinging a golf club. But I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on it?
That's a great question.
I only have two sports I enjoy watching. So I'd have to choose American football, being that I would most likely be better at European football or world football, I guess you'd say. So, I mean, really enjoy watching any basketball anymore, except for March Madness, because that centers around like that type of wild atmosphere. It's kind of sad. Like throughout my adult years, I've really gone away from the NBA. I think the product is just dreadful. And I would even say I like to watch tennis more than I would like to watch basketball.
Nice, interesting. I personally like watching all the sports. There's not. I don't think there's one competitive match that I don't enjoy watching or can't get into. And I actually worked for Chris Evert. If you guys know who that is, she's top three women tennis players of all time. I worked for her. I was dating her personal assistant's daughter, and I ended up becoming kind of like their gopher for doing all sorts of random work. I actually met Novak in I think it was 2012 or 2011 Hall of Fame ceremony for Chris Evert, and there was all these top tennis players there, and I actually got to meet a lot of them. I didn't know who any of them were at the time, but that was the only time I ever played it. So I know how tough it is just from being on the court just once or twice. I guess I don't know how tough it is, but I can see the game. But watching that is a lot more fun to me than playing it, even though I could play anything.
Hey, Prince, you ever, I know you bet basketball and you bet basketball like all over the world, random stuff. Um, do you bet Chinese basketball specifically? Is my question.
I don't bet it specifically. I wanted to try to get into that's kind of like a project of mine is at some point trying to get into one of these international leagues. Like the Chinese basketball league's probably like up there, probably like top three in the world after maybe the Spanish league, I think would probably be the second best league. But the Chinese league's probably the third best. But yeah, I mean, because there's a lot of former NBA players and stuff that play in the Chinese basketball league. So it's always been something that's definitely been on my mind, but I haven't really gotten into it yet.
Do you know what recently happened in the Chinese basketball league?
No, I haven't
Chinese
heard what.
Basketball Association,
No,
sorry,
no, yeah, the
CBA.
CBA, yeah. No, what happened?
They moved the quarters from 12 to 10 minutes.
Okay, so they're trying to speed up the game.
Do you know what that has done to it?
That's interesting. I wonder. I'd have to think about why what's the benefits of doing that other than compressing the total time of the game. I mean, the
Don't
game's
they do that in Olympics too for like international, right? I
is 10
think.
minutes. That is true. Yeah, it is 10 minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
FIBA runs 10-minute quarters. So maybe they're trying
I'm
to
not
align with
sure
that. Maybe they're trying to
what
align.
Yao Ming, because Yao Ming is in charge of it, I believe. Obviously made the change because they've had a significant amount of changes recently. I believe there was some actual, I don't know if it was like gambling or like throwing of games or something, giving teams leads. Something happened. There was a big scandal, so they were off for a while. But um, I used to bet it a while ago because it has a very wide variety of outcomes, and it was like back in the day when I was just like experimenting gambling. But since it's moved from 12 to 10, that has brought down scoring quite significantly. And I would say the books haven't fully caught up. They've definitely caught up a lot, but they haven't fully caught up. I put a couple dollars, and I've only been doing this like very, very recently as well because I've been watching it before I start like putting money on it and just kind of like experimenting, messing. Put $1 on the unders, 5 leg this morning, 5 leg first quarter under, 5 leg half under, and 2 or 3 hit, and they were plus 2400s. They were just it's just $1, right? So it makes you like $50 with those $2 minus the dollar you missed, and which I only missed the first half by 1 leg, and it was in the very last second because they had free throws. And that's another thing. You know how like free throws, right? So like you get to the foul trouble so much quicker in with 12 because you'll get so many more minutes of that you can really increase just with free throws the overall total very quickly. And I don't know if that's something that you had experienced or knew about and were exploring as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I will be exploring it now that you brought it up for sure. I'm going to take a closer look at it. And the other
Yeah,
thing,
I'll send you.
the other thing
Okay.
too is that in FIBA, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 5 fouls and you're out, whereas in the NBA it's 6 fouls. So that's another thing. Like if teams are fouling a lot, like players can get fouled out a lot quicker. So and if it's a star player that's got 5 fouls, he's out the game. That again is probably another way that's gonna lower the total. So that's an outstanding look. I'm gonna be all
Yeah,
over that.
it's
I'm
similar
for
for
sure.
college because
Yeah.
college is a 40-minute game, so they only do 5 fouls. But oh, to go back to your question real quick. Sorry to change topic, but I actually do have one, by the way, Prince, of one that I wish I was good at. I love watching baseball, and I wish I was good at baseball. And something I will say, the hardest thing to do in sports is hit a baseball. I don't understand how these people do that. I've been in batting cages before, and I've dealt with 60, 70. That's absolutely absurd, and I was scared for my life. Honestly, I still don't understand they hit 99 with movement nowadays. Like, it's just ridiculous how they hit this stuff. Like, I'll watch Trevor Bauer, like, videos where he pitches against minor league players and stuff, and it's like they look silly. It's just I don't understand how these people hit these bombs and stuff like that. Like, that's one thing I've always been jealous about, Like, I wish I could do it.
My argument against that, my only argument against the baseball narrative is only solely, I agree with everything, but the idea that it's the hardest, I think is difficult because the ball comes to you as a batter in a confined location. And so the average person, while could be just absolutely moronic and unathletic, could theoretically swing the bat, throw their arms across in front with a piece of wood, and guess and make contact. Whereas like some of the other sports, like you couldn't even get that close. So yes, I agree. Like hitting a baseball is like unbelievably ridiculous. But the average person could kind of sort of luck into that more so than in any of the other sports.
So
Well,
I will say
the
that with a caveat. If you're
yeah.
facing only fastballs, I might agree with you. They'll hit it sooner or later if they start adjusting their swing speed and when they start swinging. But I don't agree with that statement on curveballs or other balls with a lot of movement. When I was in high school, I was pretty good at sports. I was a varsity captain on football and basketball, and I was trying to get back into baseball as well because I went to boarding school for 2 years and they didn't have it there. And I went to a place where they take a look at kids and see if they have any talent and if it's worth pursuing or not. And he was throwing me 70, 80 miles per hour fastballs, and I was able to kind of get a little bit of wood on there. And then he threw me one curveball, and my God, the fact that I was out for just 2 years and I couldn't see the spin and angle of the ball, it was so hard. I didn't touch one of like the 15 throws that he threw me if it had like it was a slider or a curveball. It's just so impossible. The ball starts in one spot, and by the time you finish your swing, the ball is just nowhere near your bat.
Oh, I know. Like it's actually like insane watching professional pitchers throw these balls and the movement on it. I wouldn't be able to touch any of them. But I do think that maybe one time I could get lucky. It's like yeah.
Buckets
But
had
you
the
know what
same
I couldn't
argument.
do, Mosh? I couldn't run 10 yards out, even at my most athletic, and have let me just use I don't even know why this name came into mind, but I'm gonna use Darrell Revis. I know Darrell Revis's ass would never, not a single time, would allow me to catch a pass. He wouldn't. I couldn't get to a position in which he was not already there.
Yeah, I hear
Covered.
your argument. I definitely hear your argument. They're just physically able to dominate you in such a way where you don't even really have a shot.
Exactly, like the golf argument for me. People say you could never hit a golf ball. Like, okay, well, I could still luck into hitting a golf ball here, right? Like, I could still do a facet of it, but there are certain facets of these other sports where it's like you can't do that. Like, I couldn't take a face off and go down and score a goal in hockey.
No way. No way.
I couldn't even be
None
on
of us.
site.
None of us
Moshe.
would be
They
close.
would have to be all the way in there, and I'd have to just be standing there, and that's not even part of the sport. I
And
mean,
I
it is,
don't
but
even know
it's
if I'd be able to do it on a single shoot up.
exactly like even
Yeah.
hockey. I put up there as well. It's like I can't even skate, brother. Like I can barely move forward on skates.
I guess I wasn't comparing it. I wasn't comparing it to like what we could do. I was comparing it to like sports in general. Because even like Dion said, the hardest thing he did was a baseball, right? And it's more so that you're in the Hall of Fame if you hit 30, if you get 30% of the base hits that you get. You know what I mean? If people are throwing 99 mile per hour splitters and stuff for professionals. I guess that's what I was trying to say. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if anybody here hasn't watched Paul Skeens pitch, please do yourself a favor and watch him pitch. It is just incredible. It's just an experience.
He's playing for us and for America in the WBC, and so is Scooble.
Yeah, and so is Judge. I saw him put on his uniform. It looks nice.
I
Interesting,
feel
though,
bad for
to
international teams
be
for have
weird.
to face Scooble
Hey,
and
Prince, you know, Halal are playing today.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're
And
playing at 11:30 right now, right? They just kick off.
they're on like a 70 match, 69, 70 match streak for in their league of scoring.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
Yeah, that's it.
their
That's it.
line could drop, right? Because it's only in the 1.5. So you get to halftime and that line's
Yep.
playable.
Yep. Yep. It's gonna be all over that for sure. Yeah, they're playing.
It's
What is it? They're
interesting
playing.
though
They're playing
because
Alcadesia. Is that right? It's a
yeah,
top four matchup. Is it not? Alcadesia is up there, right? Fourth or fifth, I
yeah,
think. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
they're good.
Mm-hmm.
Keep
Yeah, they're good. Yeah. Yeah.
Is this a
They're having a good
matchup
season.
that we should be looking for a goal in the first half if the line starts becoming playable at around the 25th minute?
Well, the line just dropped, and I think Halal just scored.
Well, there
Yeah,
goes
of course they did. Of course they did. Of course they did.
It is
They always
the
score.
8th minute right now.
Oh wow, that
But
didn't take long. Oh,
But it is
oh well.
weird though, because Al Hilal isn't the same team this season. Like to be quite honest, like last week
Yeah.
away from home, they tied Al Riyadh 1-1. That is a
Yep.
brutal result.
Yep.
Like that is an unexplainable result given the fact that Al Hilal scored 2+ goals in just about every single match that they ever play in. Period.
Yeah. Massive letdown for sure. Huge letdown. And yeah, they're not the same team, right? I mean, they lost Mitrovic, right? I don't think he's there anymore, right? Mitrovic is not there anymore.
Oh, dude, Mitrovic is in Qatar. He's or UAE.
That's right.
One of the two.
Okay. Yeah, I know he left. Yeah.
Yeah, and then now
Yeah.
Benzema just came out and said he is unhappy with his current the structure of his deal, which is like it's like me coming out and like I mean just like me coming out and going somewhere like that has absolutely no resources and being like, look,
Yeah. 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 Come on.
I still have it back.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean it's like
Like,
Paul
what do
Skeens
you
trying to
expect?
renegotiate his contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates?
It's just
Like, come on. Yeah.
so much money that how are you going to restructure this deal? This is just ridiculous. Oh yeah, so Ahal did score. So there's that.
Okay, all right. So here, while we're going off the cuff here, I don't want to keep everyone too long. I know we're going over an hour here, but it just seems like a good segue to ask one more fun question here. As we're coming up to the Winter Olympics starting next week, does anybody have any like favorite sports in the Winter Olympics that you like to bet? I mean, I know it's kind of a crapshoot because we really don't know much about any of these, teams, players, and competitions for the most part, but. Anything that anyone looks at, Stern? I'll start with you.
It's 1-1.
Oh, so maybe that's another good look. As long as it's tied, they're good. They're live to score another one, right? But in terms of Olympic sports, I really like the diving. I find that really fascinating. But honestly, my wife and I just put it on last time. It was starting. I think it was just starting in the morning. I'm curious what time. I'm going to look it up real quick. What time that the Olympics kind of play
So,
in America?
so the diving is Summer Olympics, but we're coming up to the Winter Olympics. So you got anything for Winter Olympics at all?
Okay.
Anything that you look at like for the Winter Olympics that are going to be coming up in here next week?
I
Over in
love
Italy.
watching the skiing. I like watching anything on the slopes. I find that a lot of fun. I like watching all that.
Yeah. Anything from a betting angle though? Do you look at anything? I mean, like I said, I know it's kind of random, like with these
Not
competitions and teams and stuff.
really.
Is there
I'll
anything?
once in a while. What I'll do is I'll find a match that I really want to watch, and I'll usually take like a 10-1 or like an 8-1 kind of long shot, just like $2-3 just to be like, I'll kind of just put out my feelers out there. I'll do research and I'll see who maybe is being undervalued a little bit, but I don't put any real money on anything the Olympics does, really. It's not a sport that has been, I guess, there's not enough people that I trust in the research that I've done to make sure that that's really consistently profitable from at least anything that I've seen yet.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Brad, I'll throw the question to you. Anything at all? Like maybe in terms of what you like, what you enjoy watching, and then also like any betting angles at all for Winter Olympics.
Oof. No, I pretty much abstain to all Winter Olympics. I they're fine. I don't have any betting angles, specifically because I don't really like to bet on things that I don't A, understand, and B, could feel like I'm really going to profit from. And I know that sounds ridiculous because of the conversation I had with you guys about Chinese basketball not too long ago. It seems like I'm being totally ridiculous in that statement, but it is true. I try not to put I only put a substantial amount of money on soccer, and then I sprinkle on football because I try to have fun with it. Other than that, I don't even bet on a thing.
Okay, fair enough. Drew, anything for you in terms of
Yeah,
you got
definitely.
you like your favorite? What's your favorites Winter Olympic, and then anything from a betting angle that you like to bet on for Winter Olympics?
So, growing up watching Sean White, I've always loved snowboarding competitions. Of course, the top, since Sean White's done, basically the top person to look at is of course Ayumu Hirana, and then there's another person who's a prodigy coming up from. I want you guys to look out and watch for of Sean White is Alejandro Barberi. He is a 17-year-old phenom and a freak. I think he's going to be the next Sean White eventually. I'm interested to see him. And then also, I'm going to be interested in the puck lines for hockey upcoming because, like, I already see USA at Latvia's, like -3.5 or +120. I might do some, like, some teaser lays where I just lay a bunch of money lines for the hockeys for the first game. But yeah.
Okay, cool. There you go. I figured one of us would have some kind of a play to look at here for the
Oh,
Olympics.
I
So
love the Olympics, man. Watching the best
yeah,
athletes ever.
yeah, it's a lot of fun for me personally. But in terms of my most enjoyable, I really like watching curling. I don't know, something about it. It's just, it's a little corny, but it's fun. I like
It's
the
beautiful.
intense. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's nice. It's nice and aesthetic on the screen. You got the the guys, the teammates yelling at each other, screaming at each other. It's
It's
just a
actually a
lot of
hard
fun.
sport to do. I'll
It
be
looks
honest.
incredibly difficult. I mean,
Yeah,
your timing and just the the amount that you scrub the ice right to slow the puck. The big ass I guess it's a puck. It's a lot of fun. I from an enjoyment standpoint, I really like watching it. I don't really have any angles betting wise. Like I said, I mean, if I do anything, it'd just be throwing darts just for fun, just so like Mo said. So sometimes when you watch the sports. Not always, but it makes it a little bit more enjoyable if you got a few bucks on it or whatever. So, but yeah, just curious to see what you guys thought of the Winter Olympics. You got anything else to add, Drew, for the Winter Olympics? Or
no, but something I will say, this is going to be a fun Winter Olympics. Enjoy it for sure, guys, whoever's listening. We're watching some of the best athletes, and this only happens every 4 years, like the Summer Olympics, right? And we're going to a new era of more phenoms coming in for like bobsledding, skiing, and stuff. So when it starts in, I think it's like beginning of February, like middle of February ish. Enjoy it. Enjoy the bobsledding. Enjoy the snowboarding, skiing, speed skating, and all that. It's gonna be fun.
Yep. February 4th is the first. I think it's the. I don't know if it's the opening ceremony or the first day. But it's February 4th is one of those either one or the other the opening ceremony or the first day of activity. But yeah, looking forward to that. Stern. Before we close it out, do any final words, thoughts, anything from you?
No, not really. Actually, yeah, one thing. We're talking about random leagues around the world. One live betting look that I kind of like is the Swedish and Finnish hockey leagues. The favorite usually, or not usually, but can very easily go down early in games, and you get a very nice even money line price, either at +120, -120, somewhere around there. And if you see a team in these leagues that are down 1 or 2 goals and the line is suspiciously even, I just throw $25 on a quarter unit on it, and I just let it ride. And more often than not, it pays out. So I'm actually going to be looking for that in the Winter Olympics. I think that they have really good talent over there. And I'm going to be excited to see how it matches up for the first time, kind of reintroducing myself into hockey. I really only got into NHL in recent years, and no small part to Squishy. Shout out to him. So I'm going to be interested to see how that plays out. And if you're looking for live bets throughout the day, it's worth just kind of scrolling through DK and seeing if some of those lines look a little fishy. But yeah, Prince of Picks, close this out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yep. So that's pretty much going to do it for today's show. If you've stuck with us this long, you found out what sports we enjoy, what sports we suck at, and some betting angles for Winter Olympics. So that's why it's always best to listen to the whole show. You never know what you're going to get. So we went off the cuff here a little bit, but it was a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Real quick before we get out of here, do us a favor, do us a solid real quick. Head on over to the Apple Podcast or Spotify, subscribe, rate, and review. Just give us a real quick 5-star rating. It'll help a lot with the algorithm here, getting our podcast out to multiple listeners. With that being said, you guys can find the recap of all of our plays over on X, and it'll also be on the podcast page as well. So make sure you guys tune into that. For my co-host SternBets and my great college basketball analyst Drew DeLucci, I am Prince of Picks signing out for OnlyBets Sports Podcast. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you all next time. Deuces.